still? Do you remember? So if we have to mute, which we shouldn't. And then if you do this drop down menu, I guess that turns the camera off now.
If we shouldn't need that, but
nope. So we just gotta wait for them to come into this one. Yeah, upload 45 seconds.
it's good.
Should probably change. All right, we got somebody coming in now. Hello.
Let me just comment here under the other one.
Hello, Sydney.
How's it going, guys? For those of you on Facebook, I'm going to pull it up right now since all...
Yeah, can you actually...
I'm going to put a link for the new one.
Right, yeah, just put it in the Facebook group.
In the chat here.
Or can't you edit my post I made earlier?
I can't, because
you can't?
posted it.
Okay.
But what I can do...
Hi, the 9 guy, how are you?
Share. I'm just going to comment it in yours. Good one, guys.
Hello, hello, hello. All right. Oh, yeah. And if you want to see past comments, you just press on the screen and
Gotcha.
Scroll up. We are streaming off of the telephone again tonight. First time since May.
Yes, we did do that in May. It was fun. And there was a lot more stuff going on around here.
Yes. So I'm going to start going over what we are going to be doing this evening while Ethan does the work on the phone. Hello, Emmett. So tonight we are going to be having a sort of a different type of live stream. So this evening we are going to be going over the sweep assembly on the AMF 8230 pin spotter. So what we are going to do, we are going to go through the cam adjustments, the rod adjustments, and all the different types of adjustments you can make with the sweep, with the exception of the gear assembly, because that's a little more advanced, and we are going to save that for a normal upload, which I will be doing in the near future. So for the sake of this video, we will leave that out. So we are going to be covering everything else and going over all of the different components.
I had to put a whole new post out, but hopefully if
all right.
people are looking, they will see it.
So I'm gonna...
Here we are.
Hand that off to you.
All right. How's it going, Flame Dragon?
Oh, Flame Dragon's here. All right, so we're gonna crawl into here. So to start off, we're going to go over how the sweep is supposed to function. So I'm going to talk as it's running. We've unplugged the back end motors to make it a little quieter so you can hear me a little better. So just bear with me because I'm gonna explain things as it's working, but as you're gonna see, so the way we're going to identify this is when the sweep first drops down, that's first guard. When it's in the back position, that's 180 degrees, okay? And when it's coming back, that's second guard, 270, all right? And then where it is right now, that's home. Make sense? Ethan?
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it makes sense.
So, Ethan, if you want to come a little closer, because we're going to be paying attention at the positioning of these rods. So as you can see, this is a perfectly adjusted sweep. You can see it is level at home position. And as you will see when we drop down to first guard, when I trigger the machine, you're going to want to notice these short rods here. These short rods, when it drops down, they're going to be pitched just a little bit inward. So if a ball were to hit it at first guard, it will not be as likely to knock it off the track as if the rod was cocked the other way.
So, Joe, can I interrupt you? Because we have a great comment here.
Sure.
Fun and Broken Stuff said that's not Joe because Joe wears a hat.
Yes, so that hat is absent for tonight due to the...
Nature of the stream.
The nature of the stream, and I don't want to get grease on it. But good comment. I knew that was coming. I got the shorts on still, though. Okay, so...
It's freezing outside, and he's still got shorts on. I even wore pants tonight.
I'm going to trigger the machine, and we are going to pay attention to these things.
All right, here we go.
All right, so first guard. You see this rod right here. It is not straight. It's pitched in just a little bit. When it comes back out, now you can see it is pitched the opposite way. Okay, that is what we are looking for. All right, and now it's back up to home. So, did you see all that? Let me get
Yeah, absolutely.
give them a close up here. All right, so we're going to go over that real quick again. So we're going to be paying attention. Actually, can you go run around back and shut it off when I tell you to? So I can so we can stop it, because I can't control it from up here. All right. So I'm having Ethan run around the back here. So as you can see, all of my sweeps here are level with each other. Hello, Ron Sullivan. Oh, he might.
Wait, you're on lane 8?
I'm on 8. Yep. Yeah, we're not to that part yet. Okay, so I'm going to drop it down to first guard. All right, turn the sweep off. You can leave the pit light on, just turn the sweep and table off. Okay. All right, so if I'm looking at those two arms, you can see that is how you want them to be adjusted at first guard. So what you're not looking for, which you will see in a minute, you do not want excessive amount of an angle there, and you also don't want to see, hang on, let me take the brake off. I can't. But you don't want to see the arm cocked up the other way like that, like how it would be at second guard, because if somebody hits the sweep with a bowling ball, it's going to be more likely to push it inside out, okay? All right, Ethan, go ahead and run it through, but when the sweep stops at second guard, turn the sweep off. Turn the table on, just turn the sweep off. All right. Turn the B switch on and off. There we go. All right, so this is second guard. This is what we're looking for. So you want the short rod and the long rod to be in that position at second guard. But you do not want it to be in this position at first guard, because like I said, when the sweep's at first guard, and if it's adjusted like that, if a bowling ball smacks the sweep like that, if they hit it hard enough, see that? It'll pop it inside out like that. And when the sweep goes to run back, it's going to fall off the back of the track, okay? But if it gets popped in like that at second guard, Ethan, go ahead and turn it on. It will still go up naturally, because the force of this rod is pulling up, and naturally that will drag the carriage back to the front like how it's supposed to be. Okay, Ethan, you can turn lane 8 off. Now we are going to go over to 9. So lane 9 I have intentionally misadjusted for the sake of this live stream. So I cannot go in 0.5 on here. So let's see. Hello, Gary. Flame Dragon, that's Sight of Beauty. I've adjusted the sweeps on the 90s, haven't done it yet on the 30s. Most of ours are not level. Yeah, they are not anywhere except for here. Well, and the other couple centers that I've adjusted them at. But yeah, the sweep adjustments are very important. Yeah, oh my gosh, everybody's all bent out of shape because I don't have my hat on. I'm so sorry, everybody. But we will survive. All right, so back to our sweep adjustments. So when I have Ethan cycle the machine here in a second, you're going to see that when the sweep stops at first guard, it's going to be way out of whack, as they would say. So Ethan, why don't you drop the sweep down to first guard with the cycle button and turn the table off? Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So obviously, look at the gap on the sweep track there. That is obviously way out of adjustment, and that is way out of adjustment because, as you'll see later, our sweep cam is not adjusted properly. And Ethan, if you run it through the rest of the cycle, you will see what happens when this is not adjusted right. See how the head pin hits the sweep there? And at second guard, we'll stop it there next time. But at second guard, you saw the sweep actually pop up because of how far out of adjustment it is. So Ethan, if you will run the machine through the next cycle. you can turn the table on. And that is what will happen. So now we're going to look at second guard once again before we resume the cycle. So as you can see, this sweep is so badly adjusted that it's actually popping up at second guard, which we do not want to see. And since it goes back too far at first guard, it made our head pin fall over. Okay, so Ethan, if you want to, you can turn the sweep on and plug the back end motor in so we can get our pin feed going. Put a pin on the distributor. Put a pin on the distributor. Hang on. Yeah, turn it off. Turn it off. All right. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to flip it up like this. All right. The switch underneath the distributor, when you turn it back on, you're going to unplug the back end motor. All right, you're going to turn the machine back on now.
Okay.
And, you know, the switch underneath the distributor,
Yeah.
push down on it, on the part that actuates it. With the roller. No, the switch underneath the distributor, the micro switch. There's a little trick for you guys.
I think so.
Yep, push down. Yep.
What?
Oh, is the table off? Turn the sweeping table on. Now do it. Oh, I unplugged the table. All right, now try it.
Am I doing the right one?
Yeah. Are the sweeping table on?
Keep off. Oh, on.
Yeah, turn them on. Now do it.
There we go.
There we go. All right. So now, all right, go ahead and turn the back end motor on. You guys are learning a lot tonight. All right, unplug the back end motor, please. Now I need you to take 2 pins out of the pinwheel at the bottom and put them in the 7 and the 4-pin cup. While I come around back so we can film the first part of this adjustment where you're going to make. There we go. All right, we got 10 pins on the table. That's always good. All right, so I'm going to walk around back. Let's see, we got comments coming on. Yes, 8230 pin chaser. Hello, Frank. Town Academy in Rotterdam might use some slight adjustments, but many of the 20 sweeps remain level when dropping and lifting. That's good. We are changing it up tonight, Sydney. All right, so I need you to hold this.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to be making the first part of the sweep adjustment, which is going to be adjusting the cam. The sweep cam is located on this side of the machine right here. You can see the cam lever and the cam lobe. Okay, so to make this adjustment, we are going to be using a pair of channel locks to adjust the position of the cam on the shaft, on the sweep shaft that goes across the machine. And we may possibly have to adjust the cam lever switch as well, okay? So, I am going to turn the table off because it is not needed for this. The back end motor is unplugged. All right, so, as you can see, when we cycle the machine, look at the sweep. Well, I'm not going to cycle. I'll just do a sweep run. because we already saw where it stops at both first guard and second guard. So let me explain a concept to everybody. So when the sweep drops down to first guard, these motors, all right, the sweep motor is located to the right here, okay? So these motors all, like when you crank them, like if you have to use the hand crank to crank the motor, these motors naturally spin clockwise, okay? So, which means the shaft, when you look at the cam, when I run the sweep by pulling on the cam lever, you see it runs counterclockwise, okay? So, if I want the sweep to stop sooner, so at first guard, because it's going too far, and we want it to stop sooner, I am going to rotate the cam forward. By doing that, we will notice the sweep is going to stop sooner at first guard. So if you look at the sweep, let me put the table down so they can see the rods. All right, so now they should be able to see exactly where the rods are when it comes down. All right, so I'm going to drop the sweep back down to first guard. Okay, so as you can see, it is much better, but it could still be adjusted a little bit more. So we are going to rotate the cam forward about just another little bit. You can make a series of small adjustments. Usually that is the better thing to do. So again, by rotating the cam forward, in this situation it's going to make the sweep stop sooner. If I were to rotate it backwards, that would make the sweep stop later at first guard, okay? So now, we are going to run the table up so we don't cause an interlock here. And I'm going to run the sweep through. Okay. So now we are going to run the machine through a normal cycle, and we are going to see where it stops and starts. This is a first ball cycle. Okay. So as you can see, our rods are perfectly straight, but I think I'm going to go back and adjust the cam back just a hair, because I want to see those rods with a little more angle in them. So I'm going to come down here with the channel locks. We're going to move the cam backwards just a hair. You don't have to do it much. That little bit makes a big difference. That might actually be too much. I'm going to zero out our chassis, and we're going to do another first ball cycle to see where it is located. Okay, so as you can see, the short rod and the long rod have an angle in them. Not too much.
Do these have a sweep reverse like a 70?
They do not. Okay, now we're going to do that again, but we are going to get it from the front so they can see the adjustments we just made. So I will take that. Let's go back to that comment. Do these have a sweep reverse like an 8270? So what Fun and Broken Stuff is referring to is on an 8270 machine, with the expander circuit, which these machines do have, but these are not 8270s. You will notice that if the sweep comes down the first guard and you get a 2 count, a 1 count, or a gutter ball, the sweep will come back up instead of going through a full cycle. But this is an 8230 and it does not do that. The wiring is not built in for that. Okay, so Ethan, if you will push the reset button so we can see how this is adjusted now. As you can see, there is an angle between the short rod and the long rod. And that is about what we are looking for. Okay, Ethan, if you will run it again. I also want to point out something else. I want you guys to see when the sweep comes up, it does not go back down at all. See how it stops right at the top? That is what we are looking for. So this sweep is adjusted perfectly now. Okay, why don't you do the sweep run and, plug that in and let it feed pins. You're just going to have to lift up on the lever on the solenoid to let it start feeding. Run the sweep the rest of the way through. Yep, I'm getting to that, Frank. So this sweep is adjusted perfectly now. Okay. Okay. Now, let's, can you just use the sweep run button, just drop it back down to first guard. All right, now shut it off. Okay. So, now we are going to go through the different types of sweep adjustments. So we already started with one. We started by adjusting the cam lever and the cam itself. Now we are going to look at the brakes on the sweep. So on the 8230s, the sweep has a braking system on both of the carriages. Okay, so if we look on the outside part of the sweep carriage, you're going to see this lever right here with the spring behind it. Okay, and if you look at that lever, it actually rides underneath the sweep track, okay? So, as you can see, when there's no pressure on it, the carriage can move freely. When there is pressure on it, the carriage stops, okay? And based on when this rod moves, the positioning of it, that is what adjusts when the brake is put on, okay? And it is different on the other side because there is a right-hand side and a left-hand side, obviously. But they're both the same. It's just like a mirror image of itself on the other side. Okay? So now, Ethan is going to unplug the power to the machine on the chassis. Unplug the big plug that,
the big plug?
Yep, from the ceiling. So Ethan's going to twist and pull. It's a little tough. There we go. Now the power is off and we can enter the pin spotter. Okay, so now we are on the pin deck. All right, we are going to look at the different components that make up our sweep assembly. So now, we see this rod right here, okay? This rod adjusts how far back the sweep goes and where it sits at its home position, okay? So these are the things that we adjust between this rod and the short rod here. That is what we adjust to get the sweep level at home position. So between the two, you will be able to, one, make the sweep come back to the 710 line far enough, And also, you'll be able to also have the sweep level at home position when it is up. Okay. Now, when you look at the gear assembly here on the top, it is crucial for the timing on those gears to be perfect. There is no room for fluctuation. All right. And as you can imagine, it's a mirror image on the other side. Okay. And the way this works, so the long arm that connects to the sweep here goes up to the gear assembly, and then the shaft on the gear assembly goes down, and this is where the long rod connects to. This then goes back to the back end of the machine, and it connects to the crank arm on the sweep shaft, which is also where the cam is. Okay. Now, going to the cam, the sweep shaft goes across and goes to the sweep motor. Okay. Now, this is also different on right-hand and left-hand machines. On the right-hand lane, the sweep motor is located on the right side of the machine. On the left-hand machine, it is located on the left-hand side of the machine. So it is very crucial when you are changing out parts that you make sure you have the right-hand and left-hand parts. Okay. So now, if we take a closer look at our sweep cam lever, you will see there's a micro switch with a ground wire, a neutral, and a hot. Okay. The ground wire goes to ground on the side of the J strip. Originally it connected to here, but when I installed these machines this past summer, I ran the ground all the way up into the control box, the J strip. Okay. Now, the neutral and the hot go to J16 and J17. And if you see on the back of the cam lever, there is an adjustable bolt. That bolt is what activates and deactivates the micro switch. Okay? So the adjustment of this bolt matters a lot. When the bolt is adjusted in, it makes the sweep run longer distances. When the bolt is adjusted out this way, it makes the sweep run shorter distances. Failure to have this bolt adjusted correctly will result in the sweep not operating correctly. Okay, now we can go out onto the lane. I'm going to crawl out of here. And we are going to turn the camera off for just a moment while I get out of the machine. That's a good feature they put on there. All right. So, we are now coming out onto the lanes where we are going to review some of the parts of the sweep assembly. Okay. So, I'm going to come down here and we're going to start from this side and make our way over. All right, so this right here, this is referred to as the sweep carriage, okay? So this is what the short rod connects to, and this connects to the sweep bar itself at the bottom, okay? So as you can see, there is a grease fitting here. That is where you adjust the length of your short rod, all right? And then on the back, as you can see, like I mentioned earlier, based on the position of where the short rod is, that is what moves the brake lever, okay? Now it is important that when you rebuild these sweep carriages, that you soak these roller bearings in oil. I usually soak them in the same gear oil that I put in the gearboxes at 600 weight. So that is it for the sweep carriage. Another thing to look out for is wear in these pillow blocks here. They usually start to dry rot and they can actually fall off. I've had that happen once here. Now we check them all on a regular basis.
I have a question here. We have you assume this was the more simple design. Imagine the stuff that didn't make it to the final. That's from Fun and Broken Stuff.
Yes, that is the truth. So The 8210 is what did not make it to the final. That was the machine that Gottfried Schmidt invented and sold to AMF in 1946.
That stuff's much easier to see the brake action.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll go over that again real quick. So, this is what I was going to move on to. So, this rod the short rod right here, as you can see, there's a bolt that attaches to this shaft here, and then it comes back. This shaft is where this roller is that rides along the back of the brake lever, okay? It is very, very important that this short rod is to be attached with a grade 8 cap screw and a lock nut. I usually prefer using Stovers, but an AMF lock nut like that will work as well, okay? Or another thing that will work is the original pin with the 2 X clips on them. So that is the only 2 things that should be in here. No hitch pins or anything else. It must be grade 8 or higher, okay? So this is that shaft that goes into the sweep carriage here. These shafts here are dependent on right hand and left hand machines.
As Flame Dragon just said, thank you for that comment.
Yep. And if you look right here, this hole, that is where that grade 8 bolt goes through. What you need to look out for is wear in that hole. Any 8230 mechanic has seen these break many times, and you want to keep track of these, okay?
I would like to see what happens when you have an out-of-range pin on an A2. The deck just stops on the head of the pin.
Yes, unless you have the deck jam kit. Or not the deck jam kit, the outer range kit.
Yes, and how's it going, Mr. Case Place?
Okay, so now we are going to move on to this piece right here. So this piece, if you look at the sweep bar, these ones are black, but this is what mounts the sweep to the bracket there, okay? 2 grade 8 half-inch bolts go through there to mount it. It is important that when you attach these, the heads of the bolts are on the inside and the ends are on the outside. This prevents pin damage. Okay. So it is important to keep up with these and make sure there's not excessive wear or they are not broken. This one's in good shape, so we will move on. Okay, now these are the counterweights. They are no longer needed, but they normally go, if we go back into the pin spotter here, these usually go on the end of the long arm here. If you look, there is a bolt hole right here. Okay, and these counterweights would attach to the end. Okay, these are very heavy. In my opinion, they put more wear on the gears and they are not needed. Okay, so if you are adjusting sweeps on a 8230, remove the counterweights and you can get some scrap money for them. Next, these pins right here, okay? So these screw into the front side of the frame, and this is what holds the short track in position. So it goes through here, and then the long track then sits here, where the excess of the pin sticks out. This pin, obviously, as you can see by the threads, it's adjustable. Having these pins adjusted right is crucial because that is what allows the 2 sections of sweep track to meet properly. And of course I grabbed the 2 opposite ones, but as you can see, those 2 joints have to meet perfectly in order for the sweep to run smoothly. If the pin is not adjusted right, you could get a little bit of misalignment like that, causing wear in the tracks. Okay, now moving on to the sweep bar itself. So this is the newer style AMF sweep. We are going to look at the hardware on the back side. First, we are going to look at these cushion pieces here that mount directly to the sweep bar itself. These are important to help push pins in the flat gutters back, and it prevents wear on the bottom of the sweep.
You're correct, the Flame Dragon. The old ones were metal, but you have one that we can show you later on tonight.
Then, the piece that we reviewed earlier that mounts the sweep to the sweep carriage. That is bolted on there. Many times you need to lower your sweeps when you get them from the factory. As you can see, this one has been lowered. There. Now, going to where the sweep mounts onto the carriage. As you can see, these brackets have been modified because there are two different styles depending on what model your 8230 machines are, whether they are 6525 or 5850 or even 4400, or even going back to the 3930 model. They are different between the different models of machines. So the 6525s, most of them, the holes are straight up and down. On the older models, they are cross-sided. Okay, it is important that on each sweep bar they are both the same. The sweep track itself, the long track, it's important to make sure it is both straight and there's not excessive wear at the front end. As you can see on this particular track, there is a little bit of wear on the front hand side there. That can be welded and ground down to make that good again and smooth. This is the long rod used to adjust the position of the gear assembly on the sweep. Lengthening the rod will make the sweep move back farther. Shortening the rod will make it not go back as far. And a shorter rod will make the sweep higher at the home position. A longer rod will make it lower at the home position, which means it will go back farther. As you can see, this is the sweep shaft assembly that connects to the motor, which has the cam lever, the cam switch, and the cam assembly with the crank arm. It is important to make sure that the nut on the cam itself is always tight. The 3/4 of an inch nut on the crank arm is tight. You do not want that moving on you, wearing out the frame. It is also important on each sweep assembly and table to make sure that the coupling that goes to the motor is tight. Lastly, on our sweep assembly is the moon gear. This is the main gear that the other two gears ride on when the sweep is traveling. It is important to keep up with greasing this and also inspecting the teeth on it. Over time, if they are not greased, these teeth will wear out. It is important to keep them greased and lubricated. Okay, now that concludes our sweep overview. There will be a normal upload out soon, hopefully, probably by summertime when we're done with school. And if anybody has any further questions, please leave them in the chat or send me an email at joethepro181@gmail.com. And I think that's it, unless anybody has any further questions.
Let's make sure. Just Flame Dragon here's gotta make sure the keys in the couplers aren't loose because it will cause sweep drift.
Yep. So the keys that Flame Dragon is referring to, I think I have one in this. Yes, I do. So if you look on the sweep shaft, you'll see a keyway in the shaft. This is removable and you can change it if there is wear. Failure to keep the coupling tight, there will be wear in these keys. There is one on the shaft side and one on the motor side. It is important to make sure that they fit tight in the shaft and on the motor, and that the coupling is tight. If all those are combined, the sweep will run without drifting.
All right.
All right.
Now then, guys, says I would like to see what happens when you have an out-of-range pin.
That is for a different video.
Okay.
Is there any other questions?
I'll give you guys another quick second here if you have any other questions.
All right, we'll let them. I'm gonna get the machine reset here, and if there's not any questions when I come back out, we will conclude.
So if you guys have any questions, now would be the time. There will be another full-length video on this coming out within the next couple of months. So if you don't think of something now and you think of it in a couple hours or something, there will be another chance for you to ask questions regarding this. And Flame Dragon says, thanks for the insight. 8230, I mentioned coasting, but it might not be the best time to go through that. We can mention.
Yes, we will cover that.
We can cover that quick.
I'll come back out there to show that.
Yes, Caleb, I can show you. I'll actually do that right now. Let me I'm gonna turn off the video just for a second. I can show you what the old metal sweep looks like. You've seen it before, but I'll pull it out here on the side here so you guys can see it. Just give me 1 second here. And then, all right. So as Caleb requested, this is the old sweep bar. As you can see, the original color was that like teal blue. This particular one was painted gray, but some of that paint has started to peel off. But the original color of it is that teal blue there. But some centers chose, as this one did when we found these a little while ago in the crawl space underneath the bowling lanes here at JTP Studios. As for the rest of us, we're going to get some of these other questions going on. Yeah, it does kind of look like a car bumper, Flame Dragon. Mr. K's place, how does the machine pick up standing pins after a ball is rolled? The respot assembly system, right, Joe?
Respot cells.
Respot cell assembly system. You got a couple of more twisters. That's super awesome. And we're going to go through coasting, and then otherwise we are going to conclude, but that is what the old one looks like. I'm going to come back out here.
Okay, so coasting sweeps. This is the same for the table, but it is slightly different, but same concept.
Okay.
All right, so coasting sweep, a few different things. So you could have, if you look on the micro switch here, so on the sweep cam assembly, as I mentioned earlier, you are going to have a ground wire, okay? This normally connects right here, but like I said, I ran them up through the wiring up into the control box, in the J-strip that is, and you want to make sure you have a tight ground because that can cause the sweep to coast if it does not have a good ground. And you also want to make sure the black and white wires that connect to the other side of the micro switch are also tight. Another possibility is the sweep is not in adjustment. It could be coming up and then dropping slightly. It could not be stopping at its uppermost level. So to correct that, you will be adjust between the actual cam itself and the cam switch like we talked about earlier. And we did adjust this in this video. So to prevent a coasting sweep, you're going to move the cam forward, stopping the sweep sooner, and the weight of the sweep will actually help stop the motor. Okay, and another possibility is the motor could be missing shims in the stator, so you may have to add 1 or 2 shims into the stator if they are not in there already. Okay?
All right, we have one final question for you, Joe, here from Captain.
Okay.
Why did most centers that have the 8230s, why did they go with the 8270 sweep and not stick with the 8230 sweep?
Okay, so 8270 sweep. let's put them side by side over here. And I will review them real quick. And then conclude. All right, so as you can see, this is the original sweep that comes on your, well, this is the second generation. There was one before this, but
Which we need to get, but we'll find it.
this is the most common sweep on the 8230 when it came out. These were on the 6525s. They are metal. They break. There are more parts to them. The newer style sweep bar, these are solid. Besides the Vantage brand ones, these, I have never seen one of these break. They are very hard to break. There's less hardware and less parts on them to go bad. These, you have to paint them. You have to make sure all these bolts are tight. There's rubber inserts here to prevent these rods that go across it from rattling. There's a lot of different reasons to upgrade the sweep bars, but those are the main couple of reasons. Okay?
Awesome.
All right. So, is that it?
I think so. I think my friend answered the other question here.
Okay.
Yep. And Fun and Broken Stuff said the main reason is there's more room for ads on the new one.
Correct. As you can see, that one says hit subscribe. So if you
So,
haven't
yep,
already,
done
make
so.
sure
You need to do that. But otherwise, I think we are all set here.
All right, everybody. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more content. And I hope you guys enjoyed this instructional little live video. If there's any more questions, make sure you send me an email or you comment on this upload, and we will make sure we get your questions answered. And without further ado, make sure you guys always remember to do it like a pro. We will see you in the next live stream next weekend.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Bye, everybody.